So the other night, it was probably 11 o'clock at night, we were watching a little bit of TV, getting ready to call it a night, and we heard a knock at the door, and our neighbor was standing there, and he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that you left your lights on in your car," which is really strange, because this is a sort of a secondary car. We don't really drive it very much. My wife and I both work at the same place in carpool, so this car just kind of sits here a lot of times and gets driven, just a few times a month. And so I had known that we didn't leave the lights on. So my first thought was that I had left the door unlocked and someone was messing around in the car and maybe had tried to steal it or turn the lights on. Maybe his kids goofing around or something. And I came around to the car, and sure enough, I had accidentally left it unlocked, and opened it up and went to flip off the lights, because the lights were indeed on, and the lights were actually still turned off. And so I thought that was really strange. Why were the lights off? So I kind of flipped them to kind of see what was going on. And no matter what I did, the lights still stayed on. And so I ended up kind of goofing around with it a little bit, trying to see if I could figure out something really obvious, and I really couldn't. I hadn't really run into a situation where I couldn't turn my lights off. I tried cranking the car, turning it back off. Every now and then during that process, they would temporarily go off for a second, but then just come right back on. So what I ended up doing, which is not necessarily the quickest way to do this now, but I ended up just pulling the terminals on the battery. Or at least the cables off the terminals, But so I came out the next couple of days, and after doing some reading, and my wife doing a lot of reading, she's really into this kind of stuff too. And there's a lot of different options. Probably the most difficult one would be to take the steering column casing off and to replace the whole switching mechanism. But unfortunately, it's not just a matter of changing the switch on the actual arm, but actually changing the entire mechanism for like the blinker and everything. So that's kind of hardcore. But after talking with a bunch of people and doing a lot more reading, there's an option that had come up too. So you'll notice that this is a Saturn SL2 99. There is a fuse box here next to the battery, and what we ended up doing in the meantime was pulling the left and right fuses for the running lights in the front. But what there is here is actually a module for the daytime running lights, which is connected to like the emergency brake and a couple of other things, because that's actually the only way to turn it off is by pulling on the emergency brake. So a lot of people say that this is actually something that could go wrong. So instead of spending close to $100 and a lot of labor removing the kind of light switch in the car, which I really don't think is probably the problem, this is about 16, 17 bucks. And so this video I just kind of wanted to make to show me replacing it. So I'm going to just kind of pop in these two fuses really quick for the front lights. And if you go to your local auto parts store, you'll find something like this. This is the replacement relay. So just a few contact points there, a little schematic. And I tried pulling this earlier, and it's not the most loose relay. And so, there we go, pulled it up. And so I'm just going to swap that in and line up the pins, and that should be that. So, once you've swapped it out, you should be pretty good to go. I'm not exactly certain that this is going to fix the problem, but I really hope it does. Ultimately, though, the car's cheap enough that I imagine that instead of pulling off that whole piece, I really have never done anything quite like that before, and just really don't feel like getting into it one day for such a cheap car. I'll probably just end up rigging up something to pull the fuses again like we've been doing. But anyway, if you find yourself with an older Saturn having the lights randomly come on without turning the car on or flipping the switch, there's a good chance your daytime running light relay has gone bad. So anyway,